Hi, I'm Tim. What's going on, everybody? Tim from Tirfon Orbital. I wanted to do a rundown video for one of my personal hilts. This is not going to be like a demo walkthrough like I usually do for a client. This is going to be a build video, really, about one of my most recent projects. So this is for an Atom Sabers Master ST clan-inspired hilt. I had a lot of people asking what I did to make the modifications that I did. So I made some modifications to the bar graph LED box, and I also did a custom chassis for this. So I'm just going to do a quick rundown on my build. I will talk about my chassis, and maybe we'll throw a blade in it. Sometimes I can't help myself with, you know, putting a blade in a lightsaber. Do I ever need a reason? No, not really. So yeah, we'll just do a quick rundown video on it, right? So I'll talk a little bit about Atom Sabers. Atom Sabers is a sabersmith or a hilt company based out of Spain. I've heard of them, in passing in the past. I was under the impression that they mainly carry dueling hilts. However, I was wrong in that assumption, which is usually the case for me. But they do clan-inspired, a lot of clan-inspired hilts. They do some Clone Wars stuff as well. But they're all very beautiful hilts, very hefty, chunky, which I like. And this particular hilt is a character hilt. It's loosely based off of Shakti's character, and it is a clan looking saber. I was actually kind of pleasantly surprised with the build quality of this hilt. I really appreciate when a hilt is modular in that you can unscrew it in multiple into multiple parts. So that helps with weathering. It also helps with prototyping, fitment for chassis, and all that. So yeah, awesome quality. I really love the look. So I did, as I always do, make some of my own personal touches to it. So we'll talk about that right now, right? So let's do a little rundown on the hilt itself. So here it is. I hope that you can see. My lighting is just not that good here. I'm going to work on that. So here it is. This is the Master ST. It is a clan hilt. It's inspired by Master Shakti's lightsaber, as I stated. It's an awesome looking hilt. We've got really thick aluminum. I did not choose to weather this. I love the way this hilt looks on its own, so I wanted to keep it nice and pristine, right? So we'll start at the bottom and make our way up. The pommel does unscrew. At the bottom we've got some venting down here, really nice. The pommel unscrews. This is a beauty ring that I designed in Fusion and added, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. I did do that for some extra resonance in the speaker pod or speaker pommel area. I did not do a pod with this build. We've got two knurled huge thumb screws here that do unscrew. This is what I was talking about when I talk about modular parts. I mean, a lot of the cheaper lightsaber companies, they just make a straight tube that's got some routed channels in it. But I mean, this is not easy to do. I mean, it's not easy to mass manufacture modular parts like this. So these both unscrew. In hindsight, so I didn't do anything with these. They're purely decorative. But in hindsight, I was thinking, it would probably be cool if you do a stationary chassis build in one of these. You could put like the recharge port and kill switch here or whatever, and cover it up that way. That would be a really cool touch. So we've got really cool flourishes, routed channels in it. There is a CoverTech wheel. Making our way up, we do have, so there's a bar graph here. Now, Atom Sabers does ship it with a regular LED bar graph. Being a mainly Proffie installer and Proffie user, rather, I did want this hilt to be a Proffie build, and you just don't have a lot of configuration in the way of like sequencing or anything with Proffie, with LEDs. So if this was a CFX build, this would be great. I could sequence these LEDs, per LED. Otherwise, I'd have to daisy chain all of these together, and it would just be stay lit with a Proffie. So I know that I wanted to do some kind of Neopixel install for the bar graph. So what I ended up doing was creating and designing my own bar graph modular install piece for this build. So what this is, it's the outer body is Sirya high strength resin, and the windows are a separate translucent designed and printed part, right? So they both fit together. I'll actually show it in Fusion in a minute here. They both fit together, and underneath that I have a 15-15 Neopixel strip from Kim's Cantina that I was able to mount inside of a separate chassis that's in here. So that sits just below this. I actually did E6000 it in place. It sits right below this and shines through when you've got the hilt activated. The two buttons, so Atom Sabers does ship with the bezels for the LEDs. I don't remember if they came with actual LEDs or like dummy LEDs, but I wanted to make these usable buttons. So these are two LED tactile switches from Custom Saber Shop that I installed here. I've got a main and an aux, obviously. And coming up, so we've got a really nice brass piece up here on the neck. And these are all modular, right? So every one of these rings unscrews, the brass piece unscrews, which would be great if I was weathering it. I just really love that. You know, I love when companies design stuff to be modular. It just makes things a lot easier. So yeah, that's the hilt. Here's the chassis. It's a little guy, right? Let's talk about the chassis real quick in Fusion. So here's the chassis. Nice and easy. Very, you know, luckily the inner diameter of this hilt is a little over 28 millimeters. I think it was like 30 millimeters on the inside, so I had plenty of room to make a shorty, stubby chassis with a Proffieboard in back. 28 millimeter speaker here. I do have a kill switch. So the kill switch does sit in here. You know, just did my usual flourishes with greebly work, Tierfon orbital on the side, and Arabesh. Up top here is where the so I did a 10 rail PCB from Smuggler's Outpost because I needed the extra conductors for the Neopixels. So here is the box that I just designed in Fusion, and the lens is a separate part that goes up inside of the box, and this was printed in translucent resin. And with the box, what I ended up doing, so this is the box from Atom Sabers. It's one of those, it's just like a stock LED bar graph box. It's kind of like an ivory white on the side, and then up top is a gray. So I painted my box to kind of match those colors. You know, if I do another build like this, I'll probably end up making more windows just to kind of give it a more accurate look. As far as the top chassis part goes, this is what I ended up creating in Fusion and mounting on the inside of the hilt, and it does stay in the hilt. So this channel here is where that 15-15 Neopixel strip sits. It's actually on its own PCB. It was really great actually from Kim's Cantina. I got it as is. I didn't need to like solder any 15-15s together or daisy chain together, which would be a pain. I need like a microscope to do that. So it sits on its own board, and I put the board in here, routed my wires through, and around the other side, this is just a window to allow fitment for those Custom Saber Shop tactile LED switches. So what I ended up doing was wire everything up. And my wires were coming out the top here, made my splices, made my, excuse me, you know, soldered everything to that Smuggler's Outpost pin end here. And I've got up top is a PCB emitter, which was also from Kim's Cantina. This was the first time I used one of their PCB emitters, and it looks fantastic, and I was happy with it. So that's it. So let's talk about the hilt, right? Well, we already did that. Let's put a chassis, or put the chassis in it. So as I mentioned, that the pommel does have a beauty ring, and it is actually a resonance ring. I just wanted to see if I could squeeze a little bit better resonance out of the bottom of this pommel, and I tried that, and it did end up sounding a little bit deeper, and I like the result. So like I mentioned, this has got the Smuggler's Outpost 10 rail PCB I guess you would call this the female end, because the other end's got the prongs on it. But yeah, so we've got a hole here that lines up with a brass rod on the other end of this hilt. So I just put my chassis in, and I'm able to kind of spin it a little bit and find that hole, and just kind of drops into it like that. Put my pommel on. So these are those two tactile LEDs from Custom Saber Shop, and here's that bar graph. I'm so happy with the way that bar graph came out. Right, so I'm able to do different animations on the bar graph. I think that is an AV meter, right, for audio.
The NASA team is ready for launch.
See that how I animated that, so it's I forget what that blade config is called in FET's Blade Builder, but it's kind of stacks and comes on. So yeah, I don't know, just a really cool touch. So there's that Kim's Cantina blade, PCB emitter. I'll throw a blade in it, why not, right? So another thing about this particular hilt, this is a 7/8 inch. This takes a 7/8 inch blade. I always have a hard time saying that. This build, along with another recent Starfall build I did, has really made me come to love 7/8 inch blades. I love the way they feel. I think the weight is really great. I love the way they look. So yeah. So anyway, like with any hilt, right? Put your blade in. Cool. Cool. That's cool when that happens. So there it is. Right. That's so this is a Gundam Wing font. And of course, I've got to do the pink energy blade, energy saber from Gundam. I don't know why I've really been stuck on that font lately.
Just a simple wonder.
It is a little. So I like to hold this blade really up top. I like to choke up on it. It's an awkward hold up here when you're spinning it around, because you do have that control box there and these switches. So it's a little bit not terribly uncomfortable, but everybody loves an orange blade, right? So that's it, really. Just a really quick rundown on my personal Atom Sabers. They're great, in my opinion. They're great quality hilts. Great quality hilts. I'm really happy with it. I'm happy with the build, the way the build came out. I'm just looking. I was just looking at Atom Saber's website, and they actually do. And not a lot of companies do this. They do offer a free STL file for a chassis.
You're hard to get rid of.
Relax, Ray. For this, they do offer a free chassis for this too. So if you've got a 3D printer at home, you can print out a chassis for this hilt. They might offer it for all of their hilts, and that's fantastic. I do appreciate that. The chassis they do offer, I think it's a full-length chassis. I don't know that it's a removable, but still, I mean, I think that's really cool that they do offer that as a free download. I think Shadow Foil might do that as well, or I could be wrong. Yeah, I'm wrong. Shadow Foil offers. He offered, STL and step files for electronics and stuff. Anyway. Thanks for watching, everybody. I appreciate your patience with me. Sometimes I can ramble. Thank you very much for the support. If anyone has any questions about this particular build, or any at all, really, don't be a stranger. Reach out to me, and I'll do whatever I can to help. With that being said, have a great night, and may the Force be with you, always.